People think building community is easy. Throw an event, start a group chat, and call it a day. But what they don't really see is how fragmented and how broken it actually is behind the scenes. And today, we're talking to someone who didn't just see the problem, he actually decided to build something to fix the problem. Welcome back to the Coffee Chat. I'm DeAndrea, and this is where we have real conversations about career pivots, building something from nothing, and what it actually takes to create the life you want. Today, I'm sitting down with Kahlil Martin, founder of Kahlab, a platform focused on connecting real world communities and giving people a better way to find spaces, events, and each other. But this isn't just about a platform. This is about what happens when you see a problem up close, you take a risk, and you decide to build something bigger than where you started. So let's get into it. Welcome to the Coffee Chat, Kahlil. Happy to have you here.
For sure, for sure. So excited to be here.
Yes, I have been following what you've been doing for a minute, but I want you to take the audience back for a second, right? Let's start from the
Yeah.
beginning. So before Collab was a platform, you were actually running a physical space, right?
Yeah, for sure. I had a 4,000 square feet building in Stafford, Texas. Literally was the hardest thing I ever did in my life. And I'll say that time and time again because I literally just said, I want to build a space. 4 months later, I had like a lease. And then it was like, oh my goodness.
Yeah, that sounds crazy. So what did your day-to-day actually look like when you were doing that?
So from the very beginning, like right when you start, the first thing was I received a building that was basically just like a blank canvas, right? So I could do pretty much whatever I wanted to. So from the very beginning, it was like I already had the idea for what I wanted the space to look like, but me, my friends, people around me, we like hand painted the walls, like built stuff from scratch. Like the day to day for got the keys August 1st. I wanted it to be up on my birthday, October 1st. So for those 2 months straight in the very beginning, it was like waking up every single day, painting, going to Home Depot, coming back. I feel like at one point they knew me by name. They were like, "Oh, he's back again."
So what made you like what how did that idea come to fruition? Like how did you get the building? Obviously you did a lot in 2 months to get it off the ground, but like where did that originally come from?
Yeah, so actually it all goes back to going to New York City, right? So I grew up in a small town called Lawton, Oklahoma, and I've only seen New York on TV. And I'll never forget I had the opportunity to go to New York and I seen like the billboards, the lights. Like I had one of those moments when I was so inspired, but
Mhm.
I looked up at all the billboards and realized that I could do all the photography on there, all the videography on there, because I started like doing videography and photography as like a side job. And so I was like, either two things, either one, I'm scared to really apply myself, or two, I'm not applying myself enough. So it's like either I'm scared or I'm not applying myself enough. So then when I got back to Houston, I had already been through a few different studios and I was like, man, this is like a great business to start. And so I had the idea probably like a year before I even went to New York. And that New York experience motivated me. One of my good friends, Austin Fontenot, one day he was like, "Hey, bro, do you want to go to this event?" It's kind of like you got to like dress up and whatnot. So I'm like, okay, cool. I put on my best polo at the time, and I went to this event, and everybody at this event kept asking me, "How much money do you need?" And I was, like, I don't know, like 5,000. Like I was so confused, right? But it was a lender matchmaking event, and I ended up getting into this business program by People Fund, where they were able to give me some upfront capital. So I started off saying 5,000. By the end, I was like, I need 100K. I didn't get 100K. But I ended up getting into this business program and it ended up giving me $20,000 to like
Wow.
start. Cause this lady there, she was like, "Hey, I think you may not be ready for like the 100K, but like if you go to this program, we can get you something." So I went through the program. I got accepted like in a week. Crazy story how I got accepted actually. But what happened
Hold
was,
on. I need the
yeah,
business program because that's a
yeah,
right, because a lot of people are trying to start things, right, or have big ideas, but they don't understand how to get it funded, or they might feel like they gotta have 20K, and it's like, okay, this is
yeah.
a different avenue or another opportunity. So let's walk through the business program and kind of how you got introduced, how you got in, what did it look like? How was that process?
Yeah, for sure. So the business program was actually basically like a 8-week program. They kind of took you through different sessions on like how to start a business. Here's some funding. Here's some financial techniques. Here's some things you need to like pay attention to. And then after you completed the program of the training, then you got like startup capital. I was able to get $20,000 through the program. It was a business loan though, so it wasn't like free money. But I got into the program because the lady who was a part of the program, she messaged me at like 4 o'clock on like Gmail and was like, "Hey, I know you just applied, but the director of the program is at this event downtown right now. If you can make it." I just so happened to live downtown at the time. So
Okay.
I pulled up within like probably 30 minutes, had my iPad, ended up meeting the director. And like, I was like, "Hey, look, this is what I'm trying to do." She's like, "Okay, this is so cool." Like, and then literally the next day they were like, "You got into the program." So technically
Wow.
speaking, it was just all happened very
It's
quickly.
divine timing. It was God's plan, it sounds
Yeah.
like. Wow, so you pitched yourself at that time, so that's another question I have for you. So, like, at that time, right? Because you had this idea, you sat on it for a year, you went to New York, you came back, kinda fell into an opportunity. Had you already been working on your pitch? Like, had you already kind of, like, built out a business plan? Like, where were you at that time that you came with your iPad?
In order to apply for the program, you had to submit a business plan. So I made the business plan for that program. So like when I came back from New York, I was just somebody with like an idea. And then when I got introduced to the program, it was like, well, you need this, this, and this. So then I made a makeshift business plan. I did go to business school, so it wasn't like, oh my goodness for me.
Yeah, okay. So it's more aligned. I do see you got an MBA. It's kinda aligned with your path. I mean, you went and pitched yourself. That'll take a lot, and you did it in 30 minutes. I mean, you got ready and got there in 30 minutes, like, you was on the ball. That definitely did what was
Sure.
supposed to be done. So, okay, so we got into the business program, we got the business loan, the funding up front, we got the keys to the building, we got a 2-month push, and then once you opened the space, what did that look like? How was that journey? What did you learn? Like, I got so many questions.
Yeah. Like I said, it was the hardest thing I ever did in my life. The first thing that I learned that from my past, I was able to like put stuff on the internet, people would buy it, right? Just be like t-shirts, cool. But with the space, I put it on the internet and I had a pretty good like opening day, but then it was kind of like crickets after. And I had to realize that like, okay, cool, I have to draw people in. Like it's not like if you build it, they'll come type of thing. Like I really figured out how to like capture people from the internet, how to get them off the internet, how to get them into your space. And then from there, once I started getting into my space, then I had to figure out how do I make something or make sure that they have a spot in the space. They're like, oh, I need to pay for this. And so
Mhm.
for that 2 years, I just was learning different phases of that. And
'Cause
yeah.
it was a co-working space, right? But you had other, like, umbrellas under it?
Yeah, so it started off as a fully creative space, right? So I had a one room where you could do some work at, and it had like a computer in there, but I had like four different sets that were like four different theme rooms. That's how it started off. As it started progressing, I started to realize that sets were cool to like the optics and to look. So we had like a fake elevator in there. We had like a color room. We had like a grassy type room. We had like a locker room. Like those are great for that one time experience, but I didn't need somebody to just come one time. I needed them to come consistently. So then that forced the pivot to be like, okay, cool. What can I make in order to keep people wanting to pay every single month? So then it was like, cool, let's open up the co-working space aspect a little bit more. Then it was like, okay, cool. Let's add podcasting. So that way people can like have a spot to like podcast and take meetings. So throughout the experience, I just kind of learned from a business model perspective what would be best.
Yeah, that's cool, and I mean, sounds like it was an evolution over time from what you initially envisioned.
For sure.
So, was there a moment during this time, right? Because it sounds like you pivoted a couple times, and we haven't gotten to the bigger pivot yet. We just kind of, warming up a little bit. But was there a moment during this time where you have this building, and I'm sure you have like overhead and expenses? Was there ever a moment where you thought about like this might not work, or did you?
Yes, there there was two times in particular, but the time that has held the most weight, it was the last time that I had that kind of thought. Well, it was in November of 2024. I had like 10 tours. I remember this is exactly what happened. So I was like, man, I had like $3,000 I owed or something like that. Like I'm like bills on bills, right? I was like, you know what? I'm done, right? And I said, all right, God, I'm gonna make one video. If this video don't jump or bring people, because I remember it was around Thanksgiving time. If it doesn't work, then like I'm just gonna call it a day. We're gonna figure out how to close the building ASAP. And I literally posted a video at like 11 o'clock on TikTok. I woke up the next day, it had like 20, 30,000 views, thousands of likes. Everybody's like, oh my goodness, this is so cool. And I was like, okay,
That
I
was your
heard
sign.
you. And then so I was like, I'm gonna keep going, I'm gonna keep going. I posted another video, it ended up doing the same thing. So now at this point, I'm like, oh man, like there's light at the end of the tunnel. Like people are finally seeing what I have, right? But fast, keep going. That's the first time. The second time, imagine having 10 or 15 people come by in one day and
Mhm,
everybody's so excited because they seen your space on TikTok. And then when they get there, they're like, "Oh, this is so nice. But I did wish you had like a private office area." Or like, "Dang, do you have like this?" Like they were asking for something I didn't have. It was great I got the people in, but now they're like, they wanted something else. And so I was
mhm.
just so frustrated, so upset. I said, all right, I'm finna quit. Like literally, I'm done. Like this is it. And then like a light bulb went off and it was like, well, what if I found a way to connect all the spaces on one membership to where like you could just pick any space that you wanted to go to rather than only my one space. And then the next rabbit hole.
Okay, so that's the pivot, right? That was the true pivot. So it sounds like you ran your brick and mortar for what, 2 years? And most
It was
people
like a year and a half at that point. It was like a year and a half at that point.
a year and a half, and then the light bulb went off and you were like, I could actually make this bigger. And so it kind of stemmed from that. But was there anything else that was like going on behind the scenes or like in the background that really pushed you in that direction?
I mean, I think, like I said, the main thing was like I had a lot of bills that I had to pay. The rent
Okay.
was really high, and when you're in pressure moments, your brain tries to figure out, all right, cool, how can I solve this problem? And that was the solution that popped in my head at that time.
Yeah, I get that, and that is definitely it speaks to your creativity and just, like, resolving the needs that you saw or the gaps that you saw, even just in what you were doing and being able to make it bigger than just your one space, right? 'Cause sometimes people can get caught up on their dream, and they don't see the bigger picture or see the pivot or see how they can collaborate and bring other spaces together because they're so stuck on, like, I want this to work. My space got to work. Like, man, people want other things. Like, they might have tried to build those things, right? Like,
Yeah.
I'm sure that crossed your mind to be like, okay, do I need to put some office spaces in here? And then you had to think
I,
about it like,
yeah, no, I definitely tried it, but I realized I don't have enough money for all that. You know what I'm saying?
yes,
Like I didn't have enough money for all that. But I think entrepreneurship itself is like one of the most like selfless things that you can do because on the outside is like, oh my goodness, this entrepreneur is getting it, like he getting money, like da da da, right? But really through this experience and even now, like I'm learning how can you solve somebody else's problem? And the more selfless you can be with it, actually the more people a lot of times you can help because I can amplify another space that maybe is struggling just as much as I am, but the tools and resources that I have may be a blessing to that space and can be a blessing to another space. And it's like, I just realized it's more of a selfless act than like a look at me in my cool space. You know what I'm saying?
feel like that is so real because again, what you originally said when you first started was I feel like if I built the space, it's cool. I got the ideas, people are gonna come. But it's like, are you actually fulfilling a need that they have? Are you actually solving their problem? Are you gonna solve it multiple times or is it gonna be a one and done type of thing? So again, having to think bigger than yourself, it's really kind of getting out of your ego a little bit, because you got to be like, okay, how can I serve them versus like serving what I felt like my vision was
Yeah,
originally. So, yeah, I definitely can agree with you on the selfless piece and just understanding when it's time to pivot. So, I definitely commend you on that
for
because some
sure.
people, they won't let it go. They want to try
Mm-hmm.
to fix it. And also, it doesn't evolve if you don't actually put a people centric lens onto what you're doing, especially if you want to be an entrepreneur, right? You want people to come, you want people to patronize your business, but it's like, why? Not just because you're Kahlil, it's because, okay, you have X, Y, and Z. I can go on your app, I can get all this information, I can find all these events, and I can find different spaces that I can do what I need to do. What's important to me is being solved. So I am going to be loyal to you,
Mm,
right? Like, Imma buy into your brand and buy into your vision. Yeah, okay, cool. I just wanted to, like, give you your flowers for that because that was pretty
for
dope.
sure.
Um,
Thank
so even with that, right? So the problem that I feel like you saw that kept showing up was, someone wanting a space, but maybe a space not having everything that they wanted. Like,
Mhm.
so when you clicked into that, you decided to build a platform. So you transitioned from having like a brick and mortar to an actual platform. Like, let's kind of talk through that transition and how that evolved.
Yeah, for sure. So, when I had the idea for the platform in November, prior to that, I was working with another person. We were ideating this like community app that we wanted to build for like creatives, right? So I had already had ideas to build like technology in some type of way, but I never like had that concrete idea. And the first idea was like very, at the time, I thought it was very sophisticated. Like it was more complex than what I knew how to do. Right. So then got this idea in November. I remember I called a few different people in like January. And I was like, hey, look, I want you to be a part of the team. Help me do this. Like, this is like going to be really big. Like, want you to be a part of it. In my head, I'm like, I can really change. Like, this is so big. Like, you know what I'm saying? But I didn't know how to do any coding. I wasn't like,
Mhm.
that's not what I knew how to do. But then there was one day in particular, it was February 15th, around like 7 p.m. And I was on my computer and I got the bug again. Like, I feel like God was talking to me. And I literally stayed up from 7 p.m. to like 7 a.m. 2 nights in a row. And I stayed up and I told ChatGPT, I said, hey, I want to build this platform to be able to purchase a membership, book a space, m- like take away credits. Like, I want you to help me do this, but I need you to walk me through it like IKEA steps and explain
Mhm.
it to me like a third grader. And
Mhm.
so I just stayed up those 2 nights in a row and went step by step, like I'm putting together IKEA. And that was the very first version of the platform that finished like February 15th.
Wow. So you went through and coded and built the platform out yourself, you and ChatGPT?
Me and Chad, the first version.
Be holding it down, man. Chat gonna go down in history.
Yeah.
Probably gonna be a documentary. I don't
Facts,
know if it's gonna be
facts.
that, but
But
yeah,
yeah,
that's pretty cool. So it's like you kind of solved your own problem of not having the resource or not having the team initially to at least ideate and get the initial vision built, right? And to do
hmm
it in days, as somebody who's in technology, shout out to you. Shout out to you for coding and building the platform in two
Oh, I
days.
had a
That
lot of motivation. Had a lot of motivation. And then, so now I'm just like, oh my goodness, like, I got it. But now I got to go pitch and present it to other space owners and get them to buy into the vision.
So how did that process go, right? So you got it up and running, and what was the initial platform like, right? Was it just membership? Was it just booking spaces? Or was it, in the end what it's right now?
Yeah. So at that time, you could purchase a membership, you could get a certain amount of credits, and then every time you booked the space to work in for the day or for like, an hour or whatever it was for like a studio or a co-working space, it would subtract credits and then you would just keep doing it over and over again. And so in order to start building hype, I recognized I was hosting events at my space. And I
Mhm.
remember probably the most amount of people I had was probably like 30 or 40 people at an event that I hosted. I'll say 50. I'll say 50. But I was like, dang, I need more people than this. And so I was like, well, what if I hosted an event not at my space, but at another space? And at the
Mhm.
time, I had connected with somebody named John. John connected me with somebody named Adonis. Adonis was the owner of FAO. And I noticed that bars are always closed during the day. And so I was like, hey, what if I brought people here to come work during the day on like a
Mm.
random Tuesday or random Wednesday? And they were like, okay, cool, you can try it. And I remember I put it out, I put it on Threads or something. Like 100 something people showed up. Like literally I knew I had something because I was going to sleep and people were like RSVPing when I was going to sleep. And so then that's how I got the first
It's
traction.
like
And then
TikTok, it's like TikTok traction where
I,
you wake up and it's like my phone going crazy.
Yeah, yeah. I was like, bro, this is so cool. So then that was like, okay, cool. Now I can get people in. I was like, dang, maybe it just wasn't, I didn't know how to get people. I just had the wrong space. I was in Stafford, Texas. It's the middle of downtown. The
Mhm.
people would show up. And
Yeah.
then, took that and started going to different space owners. And
and
saying
doing
like,
that.
this is what I want to do. Yeah.
Okay, dope. So that's the first iteration. But like if somebody was listening right now, Kahlil, and they asked you, what is collab in just plain English, right? Just tell it to us like we are third graders. How would you
Yeah.
explain like your platform is and
So
what?
at this very moment in time, the platform is um, a way that communities that meet in real life can grow, start, and scale their business through being able to manage memberships, messaging, communication, and get discovered by other people. And so that's what it is today. So it's like the operating system for physical communities. But that transition started because I started the first version of the platform and I was trying to figure out how to get people to book different spaces. And it was hard because I recognized that even if somebody has access to a whole lot of spaces, they're like, if the
Mhm,
space is in 5 minutes for me, I don't care. Right.
mhm.
And then
Yeah.
the third part of that was I just recognized that it was all about the people. Like it didn't matter what space you was in, the people are the ones that make up, like space. And so we just started to focus more on people.
So if somebody was listening right now, right? Tell it to us like a third grader. What is collab in plain English, right? What is it? What's the platform
So
today?
in plain English, Collab connects people, spaces, and communities. And we do that through allowing our partners, which are communities, to host their events, to run their communication with their members, and be able to get discovered by other people. I say the main thing, it is one big network made up of other tiny networks.
Okay, that's awesome. Okay. So I feel like I got the vision. I got the vision. So is
Yeah,
this also something that you will recommend to business owners, right? So me as a patron, I'm somebody who goes to co-working spaces. I love me a little hookah,
yeah,
worky work. But are you also focused on like business owners and different entrepreneurs that have co-working spaces or, things
yeah.
around?
Yeah, so I would say now, right? So we focus on communities that meet in real life. So
Hmm.
that is either it can be a co-working space, it can
Hmm.
be a social club or a membership club, and it can also be like professional organizations that host recurring events. They have members, and we provide the full suite in order to run your community business. So we're heavily focused on communities that meet in real life, but it works both ways, right? So as a member or as a somebody who's an individual on the platform, now you can discover different communities that are in your area, could
Hmm.
discover different people and build your like, world connections through the platform. But if you're a business owner of one of those type of business owners, now you can run your business through it and it makes it a whole lot easier. And as you kept hearing earlier in the story, in order to run my space, I needed to host events to bring people there, right? So then once you get somebody in there, I started recognizing that if I introduce somebody to 3 people during an event, they would get a membership. So then I'm starting to like build on each part. So it's like, okay, I got to host events to get people in there. Then I got to introduce people. Then once they're a part of the community, I got to keep them engaged. So I'm always, I'm like talking to them. I'm updating them on what's going on with Collab. But then at the same time, everybody's all a part of these different things and everybody's doing the same thing, right? So I'm like seeing that. And
Hmm.
as you start getting deeper and deeper down the rabbit hole, it's like, man, what if I built all the things that I recognized that worked for me into one system?
That's pretty cool. So it's like an end to end for both the end user as well as like the owner of the community or the space. So
Exactly.
I'm gonna say you kind of got your degree a little bit in communities, since you got your degree and you know
Yeah.
everything. I got a
Yeah.
question.
What's up?
So why do you feel like most communities don't work? Right. So I know a lot of people start, it's a lot of riffraff in the beginning, but then they kind of fall flat or they fall off. What have you seen as a challenge for communities that have started fast but maybe ended fast too?
Yeah. So I would say the first thing is a lot of people get discouraged a little bit too early, right? I remember I was hosting my first community events, like 2 people would show up.
Hmm.
And it's like it's hard to build community with 2 people that shows up. But if you keep posting and posting, it'll compound. Eventually you'll find your tribe. So I think people give up in the beginning first because it's like, oh my goodness, nobody's really, coming to my stuff. But then once you get people coming to your stuff, now you have this burnout moment, right? you have this burnout moment where you're trying to post on social media, right? Then you're trying to email people, you're trying to track down people, message people, then you're trying to host events. So you got on this platform. So then so you're doing like five different things at once, trying to run the community, but then you have to still be present and engaged in the community while you're in the like hosting the events. And a lot of times that's hard because if it's just you running the community, you got to have a team to check in. So you're doing all these different things. And so people get to a point where they're like, I ain't doing this no more. Right. And so
Mhm.
one of my main goals is like, how can I make that easier to where you can just press a few buttons and all the logistic stuff can be figured out?
So, like, the back end is easy with Kahlab. It's like you can be
Yeah.
present. The emails have been sent out. This has, been communicated. Like, you can look at your registration. You can see all of that in like
Yeah.
one. You don't have to manage multiple systems because that's
Yeah.
also right. Like having to manage multiple silo systems is overwhelming, especially when you need the visibility. So it sounds like you guys have the visibility all in one place. So it makes it a
Yeah.
lot easier for somebody that's wearing multiple hats, because in the beginning,
For
you always gonna wear multiple hats.
For sure. Even down to like traditionally how it works is you're hosting an event, you host your event on like an event bike or something like that, right? Then once you get people to come to your event, you're like, hey, can you also sign up for our community platform? Like that's a whole different thing. And then trying to get people to like do that is hard. For us, if they sign up to an event, you can auto get them added to your community just by them signing up for an event. And that took a step, but that's like time. That's like you time to talk to somebody. And then also, people, they'll be like, oh my goodness, like y'all want me to sign up for something again? That's more information I got to give you. So it's like, how can we just streamline everything to where you can just be like, hey, here's this link. Boom. Thank you. How can we help
And
you?
you got them in your CRM, because even for you as a community owner or a business owner, like, having them in your system of record and being able to say, like, "Okay, they come to 2 events before, like, this is somebody that
Yeah.
we keeping on our distro," or, like, pushing out emails and updates versus having to feel the need to post every single second. If you got that email distro that you already have, like, is long and strong, you can send out those emails and you don't
Hmm.
have to maybe post as much because you also have another way to connect with your community. Okay, like that. So, you kind of filling in the gaps. I like it. I like the one system. As somebody who has multiple systems for everything, it's like if you can do everything in one place and be able to see. So, one question that I have is, do you guys have like analytics? As somebody who, owns a couple things and I have like multiple systems, what other benefits for me as the end user in Collab, or for me as a community owner in Collab, do you feel like is important for the audience to know?
Yeah, so I would say, speaking of both ways, right? From a community owner, right? As you, we do have like, you are able to see like what like the people in your community, like what they're working on, um, what they need help with. So we do give the analytics on that part. But I think the biggest thing that people love is being able to get introduced to other people. So every single week, we recommend like, hey, here's three people that people in your community should meet. And we do that for each individual. But then also we recommend different events in their city, different communities that they can be a part of. So now from you as a host, it takes a lot off your hands because we're doing some of the like engaging for you. We're being an essential part of like helping you grow your community and help people get closer just by you signing up for the platform. And then we make everything super easy, so it's like it's just a few buttons you have to click rather than you having to go set up all these different pages and courses and do the things that like you don't care to do, but you feel like you have to because that's how it's been traditionally done.
It's like a more of a personalized experience for the end users, right? If you are recommending events around me based off of what you've seen my interests are because I'm in a community, I'm loving that, right? Because it's so much stuff going on all the time and I can't keep track of that. But if I have a community that I'm a part of and based on that, I'm getting recommendations, I'm definitely
Hmm.
going to have a lot more buy-in to the community that I'm in and also the app that is hosting it. And then also the second piece that you talked about in terms of just introducing you to other people that you should know. It's like everybody is like 6 degrees of separation, especially in Houston. We in
Hmm.
Houston, so everybody's like know somebody that knows somebody that knows somebody. So it's just like even with you surfacing others that are on the app or in communities that might be of interest to me, this might be somebody that I've seen in passing or somebody that I follow on Instagram. And I'm like, oh, okay, they're a part of this group. Like I can see that. Or I can see like, oh, okay, this is their name or whatever. And, that might broker the next time I go to this event. If I see them, like I would feel a little more comfortable or a little more confident approaching them and kinda, like,
Mhm,
networking with them or, just pulling up and being like, "Oh, okay, yeah, that's somebody that looks familiar, so Imma start a conversation." So I like that part. This has been a crazy journey, an amazing journey for you, like, it's
mhm,
been amazing for me to listen to, but I think the part that most people don't see is how your idea, like, went from inception to fruition to, pivoting to rebranding to becoming a platform, and it wasn't just, like, the decisions you made or just the pressures, it was really, like, you being people-centric and really trying to solve a problem that you seen in the community, right? Or as a community owner, and I think that that is something that, like, speaks to what you are doing with your platform.
mhm.
Um,
Listening to other people. It's all about listening to other people and just being selfless, honestly.
so really, I really wanna know, like, what's been the hardest part of building, being a founder, honestly, what's the hardest part about being a founder that nobody sees?
I think the hardest part for me about being a founder is, you know, being able to see something super clearly, right? And then having to see something in the future and then go backwards. And then so it's not only that like what's around you is catching up, like your resources are catching up to the vision, but then you're also trying to teach other people like the vision to get them on board, right? So like I think that's the hardest part is like one, articulating the vision clearly enough so somebody else can run away with it, you know, write the vision down, make it plain, somebody else can run away with it. But then also, you know, being able to like be present in the moment and be like, I'm actually doing something really good. So it's like being the future, being the present. I think that's like a hard part because the things about getting told no and like that happens. And once you get used to it, it's like, okay, next, I'll do it anyway. This is what I want to do. Like, I don't really care if you say yes or no.
You're a full-time entrepreneur, which is, shout out to you for that, but, like, what do you feel like most people glamorize about doing this work that's just it's just not really real, it's kinda cap?
Let's say, so, right, having a job, a corporate job or a 9 to 5 job, as you say, right, that pays your bills. You know that you're going to get that paycheck every single week or every single month or every single biweekly. Like, you know that if you do X work, this is the amount is just going to come in, right? But with entrepreneurship is every single thing that you eat or you eat is what you like you kill
Yeah,
like you went and like you got that deal, you got that person to say yes, and you got that person to swipe their card. So I
yeah.
think that's the difference is like there's no more chilling until you get to a point in your business where things are running on autopilot and you can hire other people to kind of focus a little bit more. But in the very beginning, it's like you got to wake up every day and if you don't do no work gets done. If you don't close no deals or nothing, no money comes in. So it really just falls all on you. And I think that's the part that gets glamorized when people be like, "Oh my goodness, you're a full-time entrepreneur. You can work wherever you want." I'm like, "Yeah, I can work whatever I want. I can go to Miami today and work on a beach, but if I don't make no money, I'm just gonna be somebody on the beach with a laptop." Like it don't really.
I feel that. It's like when you work for yourself, you work the hardest. I don't think I've ever worked for a job harder than I work for myself. You be in your sleep think about ways that you need
Yeah.
money. Yeah,
Yeah,
so
like my every waking thought is like, man, how can I move this forward? How can I, you know, continue to grow this business? Cause it's like if I don't do that, then I'm slipping, I'm slacking.
So how do you find the resources, right? So we talked about originally when you were building out the platform, it was like I'm talking to somebody, but maybe at the moment they didn't see the vision or they didn't have the tools that you needed to build what you had to build. So you did it on your own. But as you have started to scale your business, I'm sure you've started to find other people, hire people, or like how have you found resources or found ways to start scaling?
So I would say I read like 36 books last year. So I read so many different books from like entrepreneur books to even self and personal development books about like trying to figure out who I am as a person. Then
Mhm.
also business books, case study books. Like I read so much because of like, if nobody's going to give me the information, I'm going to go get it myself. So that's how I find that, right? But then secondly, I think life just has a way of, as you tell more people about what you want to do, people just naturally come into your life to like help you, right? So like
Mhm.
I wanted to shine my light and tell my story, right? And then boom, like you reach out and like, hey, like I love how you on a podcast. Like I think the more that you project out what you want in life, people will just gravitate towards you. And then I think that's how that like natural serendipity starts happening. And then
Mhm.
three, I shoot my shot. Whenever I see an opportunity, like I'll DM somebody, I'll reach out to somebody. A perfect example, there's this business program that we just got into. I seen the business program on LinkedIn because somebody was like reposted, this is a great opportunity. And it came with some start, like a little bit of capital, right? The post was 2 weeks old on LinkedIn. Come to find out, that program was expired. Like it was already, like the deadline was 2 weeks ago. But that same night, same time I seen it, I was on the page and I seen who was ever a part of the program, messaged them on Gmail and was like, "Hey, I just seen this. Is this still open to apply?" I literally just seen this on LinkedIn. They responded back 2 hours later, like 8:30, and was like, "Hey, if you apply by midnight, you'll be able to get into, like, we'll be able to view it, right?" Turn the application in at 11:30. Woke up the next day. They emailed me around like 1 o'clock, like, "Hey, we would love to interview you for the program." Seeing the email, I scheduled the interview for the very next day. Did the interview 2 days later. I got into the program. And
Wow.
so, like, I think if you have your mind open, I think the world is always trying to tell you where your next opportunity is, but it just takes you to be open to receive it and then being open to like go after it.
Yeah, I think the going after it is like the major part of it, right? Because I've been sitting on your name for a long time, maybe since like last November. And I
Uh-huh.
just, you know, how, sometimes you get in your head or, other things get in the way. And I was in my mind a couple weeks ago and I'm like, you're supposed to do this. Like, reach out to him, send him a DM. You want to have him on a platform. Like, I just wanted to also just kind of talk to you and just hear your story. Like, I do this because I want to share this with the community, right? I want to share this with other people, but also honestly, I'm naturally curious about like what your journey has been, like what your vision is and like where you see yourself going and just sharing information. So I am happy that I shot my shot and was like, okay, let me see if I can get him on a platform. And he was like, I'm so honored. I was like, I am honored. Thank you. So
No, yeah, like you see what I'm saying? Like me, like I'm so grateful and thankful that you reached out to the Palma. This is so cool. Like I'm so happy to do it. But
yeah.
like it's almost like as I've been spreading my life, like this is what I want to do, right? Somebody else will come along and they're like, "Oh my goodness, like I want to talk," and like it just happens, right? So I think like the more you put yourself out there, the opportunities that you want, they'll come to you just as much as like, so it's vice versa. You know what I'm saying? Like,
And I agree. I feel like it also comes naturally, right? So I was asking you about resources because I don't know. Some people have like interns, some people have the capital to pay other people, or they're just like, people believe in my vision, so they want to help me with what I have going on. And that is something that I have been coming in contact with since I have started what I've started. Like people are just like, okay, I see you've been consistent. I see you really believe in yourself. You taking yourself serious. I see that I can help you in this way because it take a lot to do anything. You know
yeah,
what I'm
for sure.
saying? You have to wear a lot of hats. So it is good when you meet people that just genuinely like see your vision and they want to support your mission. Like whether it's like, okay, I'll give you a free space or I'll come on your podcast because you know what I'm saying? I like what you're doing, or I'll help you with marketing, whatever. It is nice when you do have people that naturally kind of like
Hmm.
gravitate to you and they see you showing up as yourself and like you really got some budding and they want to be a part of it. We talked a lot about community, right? We talked a lot about startups, right? You gotten into a couple different business programs, pivoted with your business. What's something that you believe about community or startups that most people would disagree with?
It's not even, I don't, it's not that I'm going to say people disagree with it because there's a lot of people that believe in this, but I think building anything should come from your heart. And if your heart isn't truly in it, this is something that you truly don't really believe in, there's no reason why you should do it. Like that quick money grab stuff, that
Mhm.
it ain't gonna last long. You know what I'm saying? Like I have friends that they're like, I want to do this, I want to do this. And I'm like, is it something that you're passionate about? They're like, no, I'm trying to make some money. And I'm like, well, good luck. You know what I'm saying? Um,
Yeah.
but I think there's something that I learned along my journey that I'm starting to discover, right? There's something that you're naturally really good in, right? There's something that the way that you can help the world, and then there's something that is a skill, and then that's something that can make you money. If you can align all four of those, and like you're going to like naturally one enjoy what you're doing, but then things are going to just like they're falling in your lap, you know? And for me, the reason why I say that is because ever since I was younger, keep in mind, somebody told me this, my actual co-founder, his name is Godfrey. He told me this because I always ask you what their superpowers is. And he was like, your superpower is you can connect people. And I'm like, I don't think that's like a superpower, you know? But he was like, no, like it's something that you just do natural that like you don't even think about. And then I started going back in my life. I'm like, dang, I did used to like host birthday parties when I was in like high school and invite people from different schools to all meet together. Like I did, you know what I'm saying? Like I started paying attention. I've been doing this my whole life, but it just
Mhm.
took me to like what, 28 to like
Mhm.
it just click in my head and be like, oh, I'm really good at this.
Yeah. That's cool. That's cool. So it's like community is at your core. You just didn't
Yeah.
know. That's
Yeah.
cool. So it's a lot of people listening, right? Because myself included, a lot of people listening that have ideas that they never start. Why do you think that is? And what advice would you give to them right now?
I think the reason why people have ideas they never start is either one or two reasons. Either you're scared or you're just not applying yourself enough, right? If you're, because you think about it, like it takes a lot to do a really big idea, right? But imagine if your really big idea worked. That's scary. Like that is so scary. So like you may not think that that's the reason why you're scared, but deep down inside, you're like, oh my goodness, this works. Oh my goodness. So then your mind is going to naturally like, blow, I'll do it next week. I do it next. So I feel like you're like, you had this idea for a reason. Like Michael Jackson said, if you don't work on this idea, Prince gonna get it. Somebody else gonna get the idea. So it's like, yeah, I think that's one. Like either you're not applying yourself enough, um, or two, you're scared and you just have to understand what your deepest fear is. Like, you know, that one poem, like our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we're powerful beyond all measure. So it's like deep down inside, like I have this amazing idea. What if it works? My whole life is different. I ain't gonna have the same friends. I ain't gonna do like people not even gonna look at me the same. Like it's gonna be completely different. So I think once you can really dig down deep and get over that, then you'll just want to start doing anything. And then what was the second part?
What would you say to them right now? Like, what advice would you give them?
Would just say the first step is making the first step. And literally like just try something. Like I have a friend who like they started like a social club, and I think their first event not a lot of people showed up, and I was like, congratulations, like you had like 20 people RSVP. Who cares if two people showed up? Like I remember my first event, one person showed up. So it's like just starting is the way that you like go to the next level. So behind one step is the next step.
You're right, and I think that just coming from you says a lot, especially as somebody who built a community, who is helping others build their communities, because most people just want the big crowd. Most people want the instant results or thinking, okay, because I throw in a bid, everybody know me. This is what I'm interested in, or this is what I'm passionate about. They're going to come, or every time they're going to come. And it's like
Mhm.
sometimes you might get a big first day, and then the next time, nobody come because they're not actually interested. So you have to go and find your tribe, and
Mhm.
it takes time to find your tribe. Like, I don't know. I know that you are from somewhere else, just like I'm from somewhere else. And a lot of the ways that I found my way around Houston was just trying different events and finding my communities and finding places that I felt like, okay, I like the people that's here, or I found
Mhm.
friends in those spaces that were like-minded. So yeah, I think that's a good call out. Just one step in front of the other, one foot in
Fact.
front of.
And we all trying to do the same thing. We're all just trying to find our way.
All right, so now we're getting into our rapid fire round. I have a couple questions for you, right? So it's kind of this or that, and I need you to tell me T. So, would you prefer building in public or building in silence?
That's crazy. I would say I'm hybrid, but if I'm gonna say, I would say building in public is cool. I think that's really good, but it's something about building, showing people, oh my goodness, I'm doing this while you're in it, but keeping something in the tuck. So then when every time you pop out, they're like, oh, that's when did you pull that one out? So I feel like that's my thing. Is like I show a
Okay, so
lot, but
pop out and show, you
yeah,
know.
yeah. You know what I'm saying? So like sometimes there's like a lot of stuff that is already brewing that you don't show while you're still showing like the end, like in it, you know?
Yeah, I do think that there's power in the vulnerability of building something in public. I think that it's very inspiring and it's also very motivating for others because it's like if I see you doing it, I can do it too. Or it's just
Hmm.
it's very inspiring, to see like, dang, I saw when you was just talking about this to now it's a brick and
Hmm.
mortar building. Now it's the platform. So that's really cool. Okay, most overrated thing about being a founder.
Overrated is being able to create your own schedule. That's so overrated.
You gotta elaborate on that. You gotta say a little something.
I mean, so the reason why I say that though is because it's like it's so great that you get to create your own schedule. I think that is awesome. But I think the thing that people don't realize is that if you don't do this, like your whole life is in turmoil. Like you literally have to. Like this isn't like
Make sure
oh I can do whatever I want. It's like no, you literally have to like figure out a system, figure out when you're gonna wake up, figure out when you're gonna do this. Like you have to
discipline.
make your schedule. You have to be disciplined. Like it's not like a I just get to like no, you have to.
Okay, that's actually a really good one because I feel like people assume the opposite, but it's like, no, you gotta have some discipline. You don't know what time you're gonna go to work. You gotta make your time up for work every day.
Thanks.
Okay, so what's one thing people waste time on when they're starting a business?
Branding and logo.
Okay, okay. Branding and logos. So you feel like just do it, just start, get the word out there, start building.
Yeah, because I'm like, there's so many different people that make real, like for instance, like taco shops, right? So let's say you have a hot dog shop and they're selling hot dogs at 2:30 a.m. on the corner next to a really popular club. Do you care what their logo is? Do you even know they probably even have a logo?
Absolutely not.
You probably even know their business name. You probably even know all you know is that I am hungry, they have food. So it's
And
like
they are exactly where they need to be and where I need them to be right now, because now I'm hungry. Yes.
exactly. So the biggest thing is like just finding out where you need to be, what solution do you have the problem to, and just aligning yourself there. The branding and stuff will come after.
Okay, I like that was good. That was some game. Okay, what matters more, community or product?
It's a great one. But I would say this, right? So if you have community and you can grow a really strong community of people that really love you, love every single thing, they just love what you stand for. You can bring in people, connect people together. Your product can be trash and you can probably still sell them something. So it's like you can have a really great product and not have a good community and like struggle to sell that product. But you can have a strong community and they be like, you know what? His tacos is they like a 7.5. But every time I come in there, he say my name, like he made me feel good. Like, I'm gonna keep buying them tacos.
Okay. Okay. All right. So one belief you have that most founders would disagree with. You kind of already touched on something earlier, but like, is there anything that you like? Entrepreneurs wouldn't agree with this, but this is how I feel.
I mean, I think the unpopular, popular thing right now, I would say, for instance, everybody is, oh my goodness, AI, 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 right? People are betting everything on AI, right? While everybody's doing that, I'm gonna bet the house on people connecting in real life and that being like a luxury in the future.
Well,
So that
since
is the hill.
don't have a job because the AI, I bet you they is gonna be connecting in real life because we
Exactly.
about to be COVID again. We about to have to get out and talk to people because we all
Exactly. So like that's what I feel like is like everybody's, oh my goodness, this AI is so cool. And I think it's amazing. It's gonna make a lot of people a lot of money. It's gonna help people around the world. But I do feel that there's gonna be a day when people are like, man, you wanna just meet for coffee? And it's gonna be like, dang, that's so dope. Like we get a chance to meet for coffee and it's gonna be like a real luxury.
what's something that you're still figuring out right now in this current day and time?
Would say from a business side, the thing that I am still figuring out is what repeatable system is going to generate one, the most visibility for Kahlab and the most financial resources for the company, right? So it's like, how do I find that exact spot on that exact corner where everybody is hungry and be like, here you go, here you go, here you go. Because when we figure that out, then the world will like open up, right? So I'll say that's on the business side. And then on a personal side, because we've talked a lot about business, so I'll go something personal for this last question or for the last bit. But on a personal side, I think the thing that I am figuring out is it's an ever revolving thing of figuring out myself, figuring out my strengths, and then figuring out how do I still show up and present for everybody around me that like loves and cares for me.
That's cool. I feel like we all doing that because I feel like we are all being pulled in so many directions, and attention is like our attention is the biggest currency right now, right?
Hmm.
Everybody wants our attention, whether it's like our family, our friends, of course, but like your email, your job, your business, like all of these things are fighting for your attention. So actually finding ways to be present and be mindful about being present, especially as a business owner, because this phone, when you run a business, you can't never leave that down. So,
Hmm.
just being able to find ways to be present is definitely something to consider and keep figuring out. So, if you had to start over today with nothing, what's the first thing that you would do?
If I had to start over today with nothing, I would go to church. I would pray about my next steps, and then I would be able to execute with all the skills and knowledge and resources I have now. And I would really just talk a lot more on social media. Like
Mhm.
I would figure out what it is I'm supposed to be doing, figure out my idea, then I would go tell everybody that I talk to, like, hey, this is the problem I have that I can solve. And then I would just go from there. Like, I think it's a lot easier now to build anything.
Yeah, with the platforms that we have for sure. So, one piece of advice people hear all the time that you think is actually wrong.
You gotta grind. You gotta like be a hustler. Like you gotta work, work, work. I think that is wrong. I think you have to be very smart and strategic and take out all the noise in your life and only focus on the few things that actually will bring results. And so the reason why I say that is because when I was in Houston, I'm in Oklahoma right now, actually. When I was in Houston for 6 years straight, and I was going to networking events. I was going to doing this. I was doing this. I was doing all these different type of stuff, right? And I felt like my business wasn't growing the way that I came to Oklahoma for like 3 weeks. I sat down and quiet. I just woke up, opened my laptop, did what I needed to do, go to the hot tub, go to sleep, rinse, wash, and repeat. I was doing like 70% less work, but like people were like starting to be like, oh, this is really dope. How can I support? How can I help? Like all the things started when I just slowed down rather than just was in hustle mode.
Yeah. Define winning in one sentence.
If you can wake up in the morning, have people around you that love you, and drink water, have a roof over your head, you have already.
I love that. Simple, straight to the point, and grounded. It's how our conversation has been today. What does winning look like for you with Collab in the next 5 years?
Yeah, that's a really great question. I would say the biggest thing is winning is creating a global network of people, spaces, and communities. And with that, that'll allow people to connect with other people. That'll allow people to get more opportunities, and that'll increase, the serendipity for people to get to their next level, all by making it happen. That is what winning looks like in the next 5 years.
Awesome. But I will be around because I'm a part of the Collab family too. So this was an amazing conversation. Thank you so much for all the game that you gave. I'm looking to them business programs you was over there talking about. But where can people tap in with you, what you're building, and how can they stay connected?
For sure. So the best way is go to joinkahlab.com, www.joinkahlab.com for everything. Join Collab on Instagram, TikTok, the whole nine. And me personally, Kahlil B. Martin is my Instagram name, my LinkedIn name. Yeah, pretty much everywhere is Kahlil B. Martin.
So I really appreciate this. This was like such a good conversation. The biggest takeaway for me today has been that building something real does not start with having everything figured out, having a logo. Sound like we could put the logo and the branding later. It
Mhm.
really starts with just seeing a problem, staying with it, being willing to figure it out. So if you've been sitting on an idea or waiting until things feel perfect, this is your reminder that the moment probably isn't coming in. You just have to start. So if you want to connect with Kahlil or check out what he's building with Collab, I'll have everything linked below. And as always, if this episode gave you something, make sure you share it with someone who needs it. And don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss the next episode. And I'll see you in the next episode of the Coffee Chat. Thanks for joining, Khalil. We appreciate you.
Thank you so much.